All of us believe in that for sure. So, welcome to the show that I'm doing at night for some reason. I didn't do it this morning because I am on vacation and I didn't want to wake up. And the reason I'm doing it now is because all my stuff's in the laundry and I don't have anything else to do, I guess. So, I'll do a farewell show to all of you in case I die, in case the plane crashes, or in case I don't come back. That way, you have something to remember me by. One last meme show. Salamander wanted me to go early because she's about to pass out. So this is the early start is on account of her. So it's good to see you at night. And Tyler and Marine's Blood and others, Felony Melanie. Those of you who are here, those of you who may be watching. Game last night drove me nuts. Glad I didn't watch it at work. I would have crashed my 911 center. It just drove me nuts. I watched football for 4 hours. I mean, in the sense, it was a moral victory because the last time Cowboys played the Packers, it was a disaster of the kind that like shakes your faith. If you watch the Jerry Jones documentary, that's where the documentary ends. It's kind of like with, well, this is like the worst defeat, the biggest moral defeat we've had in a long time, which I agreed with. Now, it's supposed to be this real hyped up big revenge game, and for somebody not to be blown out was kind of a moral victory. But at the end, when we get to a tie, it's just like, oh man, it's like kissing your sister. It's like the main thing I hate about soccer is that the game will end 0-0 and they'll all cheer. To them, that's a good soccer game. We don't do that in America. We fought wars against that kind of thing. We fought for the freedom of the forward pass, and we shouldn't be having to live in a world where a professional sports game ends in a tie 40-40. Also, just as in a small aside, I was pissed off by a statistic that Mike Tirico recited, saying it was the second highest scoring tie in the history of the NFL, and the one before that was the 1963 game between the Boston Patriots and the Oakland Raiders. Sir, the merger was in 1970. At that time, the Boston Patriots and the Oakland Raiders were in the American Football League. That's an entirely different league. I know that when they merged, they're like, well, we're going to take the history of the AFL too, but it's like the Browns inheriting the history of the old Browns. I don't know. It's like we can just make up shit and it's fine. You wouldn't believe how much goes on in the NFL that is just totally devoid of any logic. Yeah, it was 4 hours. Got nowhere. It was tough. Good to see Shorty Rides, my sister, who checked on me today, made sure I was all right. This is what happens when you take a day off and you go on vacation. Is that people assume that something bad has happened to you. So I discussed the tie all the way. My birthday was fine. What a great time. I got all my chores done, so now I could go on vacation and not feel like I was missing out. So I got branches hauled out to the dump, and the grass is all mowed, and which should stop growing any time now. Of course, today was like 90 degrees, so the grass is still growing. And when I come back, I'll have to mow. But I should be good to go. But I will say that my vacation from 9 days away from 911 is kind of like half over now. And it's going by too quickly. And I should be at work right now. If I wasn't on vacation, that's where I would be. So just enjoy the fact that I'm spending Monday night with you. Ooh, the Bears won. Ooh. Yeah. They're not going to win the North, Chase. We're just codependent. We can't live without approval and input. Man, it's going to be tough for you guys after I die in this plane crash tomorrow. You realize by me joking about it, it's going to make it way more likely because life's like that. Drew and I never really came up with a succession plan, so I assume he'll go on, and then the videos will just be shorter and edited differently, and What I ought to do, you know what I should do? If I was a better podcasting partner, what I would do is I would just record video of me just like, not still, because then I don't want to look like a still image, but of just me just like, nodding my head so that I can be edited into the pane beside him so that it looks like I'm still here and still listening. But I could just be like, yes. And then just say like one like banal cop statement, like it never quite turns out the way you think. And then he could just carefully edit that in so that I'm everlasting and I'll just always have general B footage of me. Ironically, it would be called B footage. I did almost get attacked by a bee today. It's still so hot outside. The bees are out there. I went around the eaves last night. I believe it was last night, and I was shooting hornet spray at the nests when all the bees go into the nests and when they're dormant at night. And I was looking under the eaves, and I was looking, and I couldn't tell if what I was looking at was a beehive or what. I didn't think there was one in that spot, but I was like, it probably is one. I can't quite tell what it is. And so I had the hornet spray that shoots like 25 feet and it's foam. And I shove it and it was a bird's ass and he flew out of there. So I felt bad because like I shot a beautiful dove, one of God's creatures that doesn't cause any harm, in the butt. And I'm just hoping it's not cleaning itself because I'm pretty sure hornet spray is bad for pigeons or doves or whatever it was. So I felt bad about that. But then today I get home and I had put my trash out on the street. But because the trash was like slightly over full, a bunch of it like fell out and the garbage men just don't give a fuck. So they drove away and there was litter all over the place and I had to pick it up. And then as I'm picking up the litter and bringing it back to the trash can, a bee like swarmed me and I ran back to the house like a little sissy, but I didn't get stung. I do not care about looking like a sissy. I'm a grown man. What I look like doesn't matter as long as I don't even feel an instant of pain. That's all that concerns me. How are you guys doing at night? You guys doing good? Joni's here now. Happy belated. Thank you, Joni. I'm kind of too old to feel happy on my birthday. It only work if you pre-record rants about the things that haven't happened yet. All you guys know I'm pretty upset about the state of the world and how things are going. But thank you guys for watching in this special evening edition. Merch. I finally did get an email from them. I'll read you what they sent me. I'll tell you my reply and then my counter reply if I can find it. Basically, after many weeks, Amanda at Spring finally told me that I wasn't happy with all of my fans having a bad experience at Teespring. And I said, I don't want them to have a bad experience with you. I don't want to be associated with a bad experience. Essentially, you need to get your shit in order. She says, thank you for writing in. We understand you want to provide your fans with the best experience possible, and we do too. Please encourage them to direct our fan experience team directly with their order number and applicable photos by reaching out here. For more info, follow this link. You can chat with us from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Time. She said Eastern Standard Time. I didn't have the courage to tell her that it is daylight time for a few more days. She says, please note, we can't discuss fan order information with anyone but the fan due to privacy policies. I don't want to know what their exact problems are. I want you to fix it. Fix it, fix it, fix it, fix it. If you have any other questions, just let us know. Sincerely, Amanda. And I replied, all of this I already knew. It took you weeks to reply to me with that useless email. Appalling. I've been telling them to send complaints directly to you for months on end because they complain to me. I don't want to be taking complaints from them because you're scamming them, taking their money and providing them with nothing in return, all while tarnishing me because of my association with you. I want to close my store. Let's make that happen. She says, hi, Jonathan. Thank you for reaching out to us. We are so sorry to hear that you no longer want your account. Unfortunately, you are unable to deactivate your account from within your creator dashboard. I couldn't help but notice this was the case. you can't just close out your account. You have to get in touch with them. It's like a fucking submarine. You both have to turn a key for some reason. Don't worry, though. We could do this for you. Click the link below, and we'll submit account details. The support agent will follow up with you if you have any questions. Otherwise, you can expect your account to be disabled within 1 business day. So that said, you could expect my merch to be going away. That's the failure to stop merch, and anything else that's directly on my page that's ending. It'll be gone before I'm back. And I'm going to recommend to Drew that we do the same thing. Because it's just not acceptable that somebody like Michael Hendricks has ordered stickers, or it could have been Tyler, in May, and it's October, and they're not here. Can anyone think of a reason why I would continue to do business with someone who can't fulfill an order between May and October? Is there any good reason? Can't think of a good reason. So with that in mind, there's some other companies that do merch and that will integrate with YouTube. So it's like we have an alternative. But look at the journey we've been on where we didn't want to do merch because of the way merch works, where I also didn't receive my payout, by the way, Teespring. I'll have to let them know that, hey, I was supposed to receive money from you for the services that we teamed up to render and that you didn't render and that you took money for. Literally, even I got scammed out of this. But anyway, like, do we want a repeat of that experience? Like, how much bad has to happen before we learn? We like having merch available for people, but to be honest, I haven't seen a lot of orders. I was creating new stuff all the time. There didn't seem to be much need for it to exist. A few people who really, really, really love the show, really, really, really got into merch, and they bought some, and then that's it. You know, they have it, and then after that, there's no reason for it to exist anymore. So I'm betting that this will just be the end of merch for the foreseeable future. So if you really want to get your foot in the door, hey man, this is it. This is your last chance, because at least my shop's going away. I'll show that to you in case there's actually something there that you want to try to get. You know, what do I even say about that? But there's the Enjoy Always shirt, LeBron James, all the Hard Time podcast stuff, which makes me sad. Because, you know, that's like a podcast that still exists, I'm still doing, and all the mugs for Pig Latin, which I don't think I even moved one of those, not even one. So that's not sad that they're being destroyed, because no one cares about that, evidently, which is fine. And then the old failure to stop stuff, you know, it was nice of Eric to give me permission to print that stuff. But all good things come to an end. All bad things, I guess, come to an end too. So that's the end of that. That's your last chance to get those things. They will be going away. I just can't imagine continuing to do business with someone where I accuse them of scamming people and they don't even say anything about it. Just know they're, you know, I get that it's a form email and that they're just, you know, hit reply and it's like, oh, they want to close account, do this. But it's like, I accused you of a dishonest act. I said you're scamming them, and they don't care. You know, they're used to hearing that. They don't even, for them, the accusation of being a scam company is so normal that they don't even respond to that. I don't mind waiting either, as long as it comes eventually. So what's the timeline for that, Joni? 8 months? I would buy it when I finally had the extra cash. I said it was a nightmare. Yeah. I'm no broke old woman, otherwise I would buy stuff. But that company is so sketchy. Apparently they are. You know? So Andrea and BC used illicit. Did that integrate with their YouTube? I cannot imagine it did, because their YouTube is not monetized. So again, YouTube integration is something that we're looking for. I don't know how important that is to you, but that's the reason why we went with Teespring and other companies. So Go ahead and just address this. I don't know why she does that. Why she insists on spelling my name wrong. But just delete that comment. All right. I did not learn my own lesson, and we'll just get into some memes. Hey there, Delilah. What's it like in Houston, Texas? I'm 600 miles away, and yet I'm somehow still in Texas. Anyone who's been to Texas can verify this, but I remember driving through Texas. I drove for like 18 hours. I drove the entire border from essentially like San Padre Island out to Big Bend, like all the way out to almost New Mexico. And it's drive straight forward, turn right, turn left, turn right, turn left, turn right, all the way out there. And you drive forever and ever and ever and ever, and you're still in Texas. It's the Jeopardy interview segment. So, James, it says here that they're out to get you. That's right, Ken. You know what's funny is what I really miss is that with Alex Trebek, it got to a point where he so did not give a fuck about anybody that was on that show, where you could tell he just wasn't even listening during that part. He would walk over, and it's kind of the part where they talk to the contestants. And the whole reason why that segment exists is because the runtime of a show, you can never tell. You never know if you're going to run short for time, and then what are you going to do? Throw in more questions? No. So you need a segment that is long or short enough that you can trim to length to pad out the length of the episode, and you do it right in the middle so it doesn't feel tacked on. But of course they would record like 5 episodes of Jeopardy per day, so he would just go and see these people, and then he would read from some little card like, oh, it says here, you're that meme, you take the longest baths in the city. It's like, and then they would sit there and interact with him, and of course they would be beaming. They would love to meet Alex Trebek. They're having a personal conversation with Alex Trebek, but you could tell from his interaction that he just wouldn't listen at all. He would hear one key phrase and then like generate a reply for that phrase, and then he would move on. And then so I would like to see just like, yes, they're out to get me, Ken. See if he pays better attention than Alex did. The clocks that go back this weekend, hopefully to before I was born, always hoping for the time to ultimately change. It will vanish me from existence. Looking forward to that. Texas time is here. How timely, since we were talking about Texas and now we're talking about time. It's like she was summoned. Yes, rest in peace, Alex. He's gone now. Jeopardy is greater than Wheel. I agree. I was so sad to see that Wheel of Fortune continues with Ryan Seacrest. Is anybody enjoying that? And Vanna White's still there. And Vanna White's old enough to be his grandma. Our clocks go forward this weekend. Well, ours go backwards. So, Shorty, there goes any attempt at me ever fucking knowing what time it is where you are. I'll send a DM to her and like, oh yeah, she's asleep. It's 4 a.m. Why am I DMing her? And then, and then by the time I think I finally have it figured out, it's 6 months later and the whole world switches. But we'll be switching to standard time, which means our clocks will fall back. So it will be 7 p.m. right now. By the time it's 7 p.m. next week. I like how I just did that public service announcement. At some point, it will be 7 p.m. Guys, I'm a kind of a special case. You have to stay up needlessly late as possible to make the next day as horrible and hard as possible. That's what I do. I go to bed. I don't even go to bed at a reasonable time. Forget it. But I've been trying to set a bedtime for myself at 2 a.m, 2 a.m. But then I still lay there in bed and it's just the scroll time goes by so fast when you're scrolling. It's like it's 2:05. I'm like, oh yeah, I better cut it out just a few more minutes. 2:15. Oh man. 2:33. Like, holy crap, it's already half to 3. And then by the time I lay down the phone, it's 2:45. and then I'm still not falling asleep. And then I look at my phone to see what time it is. 2:55. I'm like, God damn it. So much for having a bedtime. It's 3 a.m. and I can't stick to it. But I'm pretty lucky because I know this about myself. I know that I can't get up in the morning. So I kind of I build it in. I build it in with flexible uh, hours so that if I have to, I could just move my alarm forward. And I miss out on productive time the next day. So I'm trading like relaxing time for productive time. But that way I can kind of protect my health and stuff. It's important for me to get lots of sleep. I recently just ran through Chat GPT. I asked it to ask me questions on an actuarial table to see how long I'm supposed to live. And it did ask me, how much sleep do I get? And it asked me if I work night work, if I have shift work where I work at night. And evidently, working at nights takes like 2 years off of your life. So I'm pissed about that. Not only do I have to retire later, but I also get to die earlier. But it said that the reason for that was like persistent circadian rhythm disruption. But it's like my circadian rhythm does not want to fucking wake up before 11 in the morning, sometimes noon. Getting me up that early, that's the disruption to my circadian rhythm. So I almost want to kind of disregard that because why would it assume everyone's circadian rhythm is the same? Oh, well, you're a human being. You must want to wake up in the morning. No, I do not want to do that. Asked my mom if she took Tylenol while she was pregnant with me. She said only when it was. I've heard people say this meme out loud this week. That's kind of the bad thing about things happening on a Monday. So something will happen on Monday afternoon, and everyone will get sick of it by the time I bring it up again. But yes, every Tylenol joke that you can think of. This is what I was referring to last week when I was talking about going out on that date with that girl, and she asked me for a kiss and then never talked to me again. And I didn't understand why, when you're parting ways, why would you ask a man to kiss you? Because it's like, if you didn't feel it with me, if we have no connection and you don't ever want to see me again, let's just leave. Like, I don't need to be romantic or have a public display of affection, you know. But I did it, and then good night. I guess like girls just like to be kissed. Good night. Was it a validation thing? I think that's what it was. I think she wanted the validation of if she could ask for a kiss, if she could get one. What if the Big Bang was God's gun going off in his mouth? All of you know I don't believe this, and it's just darkly funny, of course. Philosophically, it would be an interesting question whether or not God could kill himself, because the question is almost sort of immoral to ask, but also like God has no limits, so but then God would be placing a limit on himself by limiting his existence. So I don't know. I don't know. I just thought this was one of the more interesting things I'd read. How women look at you when you tell them to just block the guy that's harassing them. Do you guys have any idea how often I take calls from people? I want to report harassment. Okay, what's happening? He won't stop texting me. I'm like, can you block him? Well, I want to show you these texts. It's like, where can I send them? I literally had someone call me. They opened the phone call with this. How can I email you a picture? And I'm like, don't. Whatever it is, I don't want to see it. And I finally, kind of got to what the the subject was about. Like, I'm gonna have a deputy call you, and I'll leave it up to them if they want to send you their email address. But I don't want to. I don't want to see the picture of whatever it is you want to send me. Why would I block them? Then they wouldn't be able to harass me anymore. People who regularly clean homes experience lung function loss equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes a day for 20 years. This is what you get for being neat and orderly. You get to die earlier, I guess. And you don't get to look cool while you're doing it, because doing chores does not look as cool as smoking, which you all know that I'm in favor of. I'm currently at work, but I'm on holidays from Saturday. I think she means it's a vacation for her after Saturday. That's why I prefer day jobs. I have to go to sleep earlier, but so much more productive. It seems like a completely different 24 hours. I'm more productive. Don't tell me what's productive. Some people are built for night shift. I'm definitely one of those. Not only that, but it's like I have been working night shift since I have started working. When I was in high school, I worked 4 to midnight or 4 to midnight sometimes. I was never supposed to be there that late when I was a juvenile, but they did not care. So I was still there. Um, and then, then I went to work for another company where I would often work late nights, and then the prison. And then, I've always worked that. Jenny likes that quote. I don't know which one it was, but maybe that was seeing if there was a spark. Joni, that's what somebody else said. They wanted to see if there was a spark. I believe that Jenny actually said that, is they wanted to see if there was a spark. You have to kiss me to know if there's a spark? Am I literally a battery to you? Can't tell? I mean, call me old fashioned, but I thought that like an interpersonal connection was something that was intellectually based, and there would be some attraction there or whatever, but it's like, I didn't know you needed the kiss to prove a spark. I don't know. I guess for me, kissing a girl has never been the difference. Like I never went from like, I don't know if I like this girl or not. I guess I better kiss her to find out. Like I've never not kissed a girl that I've liked. And you know what I'm trying to say. It just made no sense. Just saying hi, picking up the fam from the airport and dinner. Well, have fun. I'll be at the airport in the morning, so can't wait for that. Wait, all of you will get to enjoy a new airport story from me, because every time I go to the airport, it's a bit of an ordeal. Currently handling a strain called Hawaiian rain. Shorty is out there trying to bring the human race down to its knees with drugs. So God Kurt Cobained himself. I guess. Is Kurt Cobain the standard bearer for unaliving oneself? Is literally no one did it before him? Yeah, John, we call vacation holidays here. Okay. Well, we have holidays and we have vacations, and they're not the same thing. What do you call an actual holy day? Like, what is Christmas to you? Is that a holiday? What if you have to work on that day? Is it a holiday or not? Do you see? Do you see why we use two words? Right. Kiss people you do like, and if it sucks, you decide if you like them enough to work on it. A man would never think this way. Unless they got thin lips. Okay. All right. I don't know why I entertained the opinions of. By the way, I got in trouble this week because I referred to women as females on Instagram. Someone said, "Oh, look at this guy calling them females. You could tell that he has no idea how to, you know, complete an act of joy for a woman." I guess however you want to phrase that. And it's just like, well, I'm not allowed to call you girls, and I'm not allowed to call you females. And I have a feeling if I called you women, somehow that would also be wrong. So should I just call you like double X Americans, XX chromosome Americans? Because even that would obviously be offensive. But no matter what, I'm fucked. I'm just offensive no matter what. Anyway, I don't remember exactly what I said. Something like your mom had no complaints or something. I don't know. She started it. I felt bad for saying that because I'm like, Jesus wouldn't say that to her. Like, don't. And then when she replied to me, I just ignored it. But it's just like, well, she kind of went there first, saying that because I had said something about it was about females and the wage gap, no less. Saying that because I referred to women as females, which I felt like females was a nice scientific, non-discriminatory way to refer to that sex, talking about a socio-political issue. You really can't win. Literally on any comment section of anything, you comment, and even if it's not meant to be combative, somebody comes back at you no matter what. Like I saw this video of like the biggest cooking flops ever, and this person's like getting ready to cook a fish, and like They have it all like cut up and spiced, and they're getting ready to put in the oven, and then it flops over. It's obviously still alive. And all these people leave all these comments about these things, and I comment, it's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings, which is a lyric from a Nirvana song. I don't believe that necessarily. I don't have a problem with eating fish, but I'm not making a scientific statement that fish don't literally have a nervous system. I'm quoting a song. But then I get this actually guy who copies and pastes multiple paragraphs from ChatGPT that ends in a paragraph that says conclusion. I'm like, first of all, why the fuck do you think I'm going to read that and then change my mind? And it's like, fuck you for not getting the fact that it's just a dumb movie lyric. And it's just like, why do I comment on anything? Talking to other people is such a waste of time. Why am I even here? I don't know. All right. I'm the one that's autistic. I'm the one for expecting better of anyone. All right. Don't clean your homes, people. Should I go to work tomorrow or should I fling myself into the ocean? Well, tomorrow I'm much more likely to fling myself into the ocean. It will be quite a pisser that I expect it to be somewhat cold and rainy while I'm in there, but maybe I will go into the ocean anyway. Did I share this one last week? Coffee and whiskey. By the way, I'm a big believer that you should spell whiskey with an E. I think I showed this one last week. I've had coffee and whiskey before, and I got to say, I don't care for it. Well, my work here is done. They say, you mean done? I do not. One of my favorite sayings is when someone congratulates me for saving a life, and they're like, I'm just like, well, they're going to die anyway. Just not today. Die another day. That's the best I can do. People treat me like a god. Well, how? They ignore my existence unless they need something nice from me. Oh, how true, right? Each of us does that. We all ignore God until we need something. And yet he remains ever faithful and does not get tired of our shit. When I buy a watch in Afghanistan, 10 o'clock. All right. 9:59. Oops. Uh-oh. Better run. What do you bring to the table? Potato salad if it's like a family thing. I meant to work. Yes, I would bring regular potatoes. None of that funny business. Bring potatoes to work. Speaking of which, here's our lightning round. Everyone comment on a thing. I didn't know it was called lightning round, but it is. Which fake Lay's flavor do you wish was real? French fries, Hawaiian pizza, Skittles, iced tea, cosmic brownie, BLT, blue milk, which I do not know what blue milk is, lettuce, black-eyed peas. Let's go to the comments section. We'll start with rounding up with the comments that I have missed to not look at. Classic Gen X response. I hope so. For me, I do not know what was said. If you weren't offensive, you'd lose some charm. I can only assume that is true. What am I? Says Foxy. I don't know what that's about. Bullshit, John. If you really liked a woman and she sucked at kissing you, you do what? Just say fuck it? What do you mean sucked at kissing me? I don't know what that means. Is there really such a thing as bad kissing? Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I'm just a bad kisser. I mean, I've never taken that complaint, but there's very little to a kiss, I think. There's different kinds of kissing and you have to know what the occasion is. But I'm not going to go into detail here as to how that went down, but it was definitely encouraging. I was surprised to get ghosted. What's that dude saying? So I'm not female. I don't know, Foxy. A public holiday. Well, what about a private holiday? Australians. You always got to make it so complicated. Australians never have any problem understanding us, but we can never understand them. All right. Anyway, so back to the potato chips and walking away forever from any discussion about kissing. All right. We don't crouch, by the way. French fries. I agree because like that's like at least potato flavored. I think that would be okay. French fries, I guess. BLT, yeah, that would possibly be good. No, I have kissed many women and none of them have ever been horrible at it. Okay. You bastard. Maybe my standards aren't too high. Maybe if you've kissed some people and you didn't like it, it was because you're too picky. Maybe when you're as ugly as I am, you're just lucky to be getting a kiss at all. You know, maybe I just have a good attitude. Maybe I'm just grateful. Just popping in to bring everyone down. Just as a reminder, none of your dreams will come true. Thank you and bye. What's a private holiday? Well, someday when you're old enough, I'll tell you. Someone kissed a frog and John appeared. Yeah, if only. I often tell the story of my birth as starting when a volcano was struck by lightning. Drew's right to criticize me. All right. Me trying to get a discount any way possible. Discount code, please. That if we ever open up a merch shop again, that will be my first discount code. Will just be please, just politeness. We'll get you a discount. So if Drew's still here, I'm gonna piss him off. Decided to pee before court, and he saw this in the bathroom. Google jury nullification. I think it's very interesting if this is true that someone put this on the back of a bathroom stall inside a courthouse for you to Google jury nullification. And I guess the person who wrote this isn't advocating for it either way, but I once came across a post from a conservative media outlet that extolled the virtues of jury nullification as a kind of check and balance, like the same way that Congress's power is a check on the president because they have the power to override the veto, and the president has a check on Congress because he has the power of the veto, and the Supreme Court has a power to check Congress because of judicial review, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, all these checks and balances. Well, they extolled the virtue of jury nullification to say, if you don't like a law, and if you don't like the fact that someone's been charged with this law, and you don't like that the prosecutor is trying to prosecute someone, that you have the right to just ignore the whole thing as a juror, and you can just vote your conscience, and you could just do whatever the hell you want. And it's this wonderful thing called jury nullification. And they made it out to be like it's this wonderful, like beautiful way that the Constitution was written, that each of us has the power to stand up to big government by saying go to hell if we're on a jury. And that's brainwashing, because it's like, how are we supposed to live in a society if we don't have laws? Right? So like, how am I supposed to know when and where and how I can defend myself? Suppose I'm in, someone's in concordance with all these things or whatever, and I get that maybe I'm making a case kind of against myself with this moment, but suppose it comes down to a juror just deciding not to apply the law. Like, what if you have a case like a death penalty case, and the juror just says, "Well, I don't like the death penalty, so I'm not going to take the risk that this person's going to be held guilty and put to death. So I'm going to find them not guilty. They for sure did this crime, but I'm not going to have that on my conscience that my actions of voting guilty eventually led to them receiving the death penalty." Well, now anything goes, because it just, so what for law and order, so what for a system of law, so what for fairly and equally applying the law to everyone. And so what if you don't ever get a fair jury trial because you might just have a random juror who says, fuck it, I'm going to do whatever I want to do, even though the judge will give them instructions saying, don't do that, that you need to apply the law, that you need to be fair. The only way of doing this is by looking at the facts, by looking at the law, and you hope that you get good jury instruction. But this idea that you can just decide that a law is bad all on your own and then it's not going to be applied in this case, that's lawlessness. All of a sudden, there are no laws. If someone could just randomly decide that it just doesn't apply today. I was so mad at that particular conservative media outlet. And I commented on like, so this is just like mob rule then. Just like, doesn't matter if something's right or something's wrong. Think about the movie, the John Grisham movie, A Time to Kill. This guy had every reasonable moral motive to kill this guy. He had the suspect that he murdered had assaulted and killed his daughter. So it's like he's morally justified there. But of course, like we have to charge him with murder, right? But the whole point of that stupid Christian book is that if you're mad enough, if you have a good enough reason, you can be mad enough and it's okay to kill somebody. That was a case of jury nullification. That even though he was charged with murder, the jury just thought that, well, you know, his daughter was murdered and his daughter was assaulted, so it's fine. No, it's not okay. Nobody cares. I shouldn't try to get serious at night. I should only do it during the daytime. Jury nullification can support the notion of institutional racism, but not in the way that they think. Yeah, no kidding, by the way. Like you could have, suppose you had a bunch of Klansmen who went out and lynched a guy. All right, committed murder. And on the jury is a member of it's a peer. So it's one of his fellow Klansmen, or someone who thinks the way he does. And all of a sudden he's not going to convict this person of murder because, you know, he doesn't like black people either. So what if it's against the law to lynch somebody? So yeah, Drew, thank you for making an excellent case where I was maybe fumbling a little bit, but I just couldn't believe it. And I believe it was actually, I don't want to say it was necessarily Tuttle Twins. I might have unsubscribed from them, but I just couldn't believe that they said that jury nullification was like a check and balance on prosecutorial overreach. Now, don't get me wrong. If you are looking at this case and what's being presented to you, and you're looking at the law, and the law tells you it's prosecutorial overreach, okay, but like that's the decision you're making. You're not being nullified. You're being empowered as a juror to apply the law. Anyway, I'll move on. Wait, why does John need headphones if there's no audio for him to hear? I've answered this question so many times on this show, Salamander. So many times on this show. Because if there's a random sound that all of a sudden you guys can hear because if it's in the stream, I need to know to silence it. Like my phone right now is hooked up into my Bluetooth. So if it rings, you guys will be able to hear it ring and ring and ring and ring because it will ring into this microphone into the set that goes out to you, but I won't be able to hear it because I don't have the headset on. Or like one of my channels is broken on here to where it produces a hiss. If I don't notice that hiss and hit mute on my Rodecaster, then you guys are just going to hear a hiss the entire time. So sometimes it's not because I'm listening to someone talk or music, but it's making sure that the stream that you're getting from me doesn't have any unwanted artifacts of sound in it. Because I'm a very good podcaster. That's why. Also, I've tried podcasting without them, and I just feel naked. I don't want you guys to see my ears. I want a demonstration immediately. No deal. No dice. I don't do demonstrations. This is a show where what I say is law. Back to the memes. I already did that one. And 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 that one. We're getting further ahead. Always start your days with a smile and you will look radiant like the sun. This is me waking up and smiling. Is this what you guys want in your morning? This is me on a typical Monday morning. Always start your days with a smile and you will look radiant like the sun. Guys, my mom always said that a smile looked funny on me and that I shouldn't do it. And she was right. And enough time went by to where it hurts to smile. I don't use these muscles in my cheeks, and whenever I smile, I just get a face ache. So it's not for me. People who need glasses are fucking idiots. Use your eyes more better, you dumb shit ass. Come on, squint it up. Focus. Fucking idiot glasses needers. Dumb meme. If your lunch doesn't look like this, you're some kind of liberal. You guys remember that video I showed where it was like a live fish and 2 pieces of bread? If your lunch doesn't look like this, then you're a liberal. This one's almost as bad. If your lunch doesn't look like this, you're not a real alpha. I have tried to make this show as to mock people who feel the need to refer to themselves or think of themselves as alpha. If you need to apply that label or self-apply or have others apply it to you, you are not a dominant male. You are an insecure male. All right, going through the 7 stages of grief real quick before bed. That's what I'll be doing tonight as I try to lay down and go to sleep at an ungodly early hour so that I can be up at an even ungodlier hour and fly away. You know, traveling really is a wasted day on vacations, and I think this will be the last time I ever travel ever again. Texas Turtle Burger. That look good to you guys? It's a bacon cheeseburger with hot dogs already in it. I don't think that would cook at a consistent temperature. You would literally have to put that in the oven to get that to cook properly. And then still under the broiler for the bacon. Brother-in-law brought over Slim Jim stuffed olives for Christmas last year. Slim Jim stuffed olives. I like how also they're presented in a cereal bowl. Come on. Try harder. They're probably good, though. That's the pisser. You guys ready for candy corn slices? It's that time of year. I also saw another meme, and I just wanted to say this meme out loud real quick before anyone can say it. I don't like candy corn. Whenever we discuss candy corn, somebody has to say, oh, I don't like candy corn. Who likes candy corn? Nobody likes candy corn. The fact that it's still getting made year after year proves that people like candy corn. It's free market. People are out there. Candy corn's just like Nickelback. Nickelback's not good either. I say to people, do you like Nickelback? And nobody cops to it. And yet they've been Canadian leading alt-rock band for 25 years. Why is that? Well, it's because people are listening to and consuming Nickelback. It's the same thing with candy corn. I think it's a very apt comparison. Nobody likes Nickelback, and yet it exists. Nobody likes candy corn, and yet it exists. Therefore, the proof is, by its continued existence, that people do like candy corn, and they do like Nickelback. And these are probably the same people. Let's go to the comments. Drew says he fucking loves candy corn. Butter Queen, hot damn, she loves candy corn. Thank you. I use it in place of real corn. I don't know why I like that so much. That's so stupid, and yet I liked it so much. I don't know why. Good job, Drew. I like candy corn and black jelly beans and Nickelback. Well, Joni, there you are. See, all these people finally feel comfortable. They can finally admit they like some call it candy maze. The Indians called it candy maze. You like Vegemite? Wonder if you'd like it. Can't say I've ever seen it here down under. I like candy corn. I like the Canadian government, so he likes it. Don't know what to tell you about that. I'm radiant like the sun every day. Is that what you look like, Shorty, when you wake up? I've been getting into the fake music YouTube channel, Great Songs Remade a 70s Soul. Oh, I've been listening to that too, Drew. I was listening to find the AI of Nirvana, but it plays them as 80s hair bands. For some reason, it's super effective. I don't know why. It's like this music, but it would have made Kurt Cobain. Somebody probably told Kurt Cobain that someday computers would be used to make his music into synth pop from the 80s, and that's the reason. It wasn't the stomach cancer or the constant pain he was in. That's why he did himself in, is because he caught a glimpse of the future. It was probably a ghost of Christmas future who came to tell him that someday how Nirvana would be used by the internet, and that's why he just left early. But yes, I also like that fake music. I don't know why it exists. Are you okay, man? You've been doing just as poorly as you've been doing for as long as I've known you. You've literally never gotten better for as long as I've known you. I am sad every time I'm forced to confront the fact that vermilion is a shade of red and not a shade of green. I wish it was green though. It just feels like a green word. No, I won't explain. I think I can decode this, Cersei Moskowitz. I think it's because you're thinking of Viridian. Viridian is a shade of green. And you probably got them confused because Viridian and Vermilion are both places in Pokemon. And so when you think of Vermilion, you're thinking of a shade of green, but that's actually Viridian that you're thinking of. So I think what happened to you is you're a victim of malapropisms where you just use the wrong word, and then you experience all kinds of cognitive dissonance because of that. But I think you're thinking of Viridian, not Vermilion. So there you go. To you, it's a UFO. I know what it is. I know what it is. It's not identified to me. Started swallowing the toothpaste when I'm done. Who gives a shit anymore? Yeah. Well, what am I doing all this self-preservation for? What do I care? There's fluoride in the water anyway. Might as well just swallow the toothpaste. It's not even that bad of a meal. It's minty, Why go to the trouble? Well, I got to put on a seatbelt, but the garbage man can hang off the back of the truck. That seems like a bunch of bullshit. This is how you know laws are made up, because cops do not care about the garbage man guy. They only care about me making sure I have my 3-point restraint on. And it's not even about safety. They don't care. They don't want me to be well. They don't even care when I'm street pizza. They just want a pretext to check the back seat. That's it. I'm lucky that I live in a state where a seatbelt violation is not enough reasonable suspicion for a traffic stop. That's right. It's not enough here. Traffic stop. You, sir, you blew a 0.3 on your breathalyzer. Me slurring my words. For me, stats are for losers, man. I don't get involved in that stuff. And that's Raheem Morris, head coach of the Falcons. I believe he's head coach. I'm actually a Raheem Morris fan, but stats are for losers. I don't get involved in that stuff. Blew a 0.3. Here's an interesting graph. Children are much more likely to be right-wing as adults if they are healthy. According to a study published in 2022, health status in childhood correlates with being conservative in adulthood. Theodore Roosevelt said, strong mind comes from a strong body, and a strong spirit comes from a strong body. That's why he lived the vigorous life. Even though he was very weak and asthmatic as a child, he still eventually went out to be one of these mountain climbing, bullfighting Ernest Hemingway types. And he was not the most conservative guy out there. I won't say that he was a conservative guy, but by today's standards, he would be. He would not be in for anything that's on the DMC's platform anymore. But does this ring true to you? Does it ring any truthy bells for you? That a lot of the people that you see on the internet who are, first of all, very unhappy, but the ones who are liberally minded tend to have possibly some health issues. I'll leave that up to you. Correlation does not mean causality, which is a chicken shit way of saying we don't know anything and there's no way to discern anything from our lives. Hi, I'd like a wake-up call. Writing defective equipment tickets to poor people doesn't help anyone, and it is shitty police work. Just as a reminder, if you are giving someone a ticket because their headlight doesn't fucking work, you're just a tax collector, buddy. Nobody talks about how hard it is to be a wings boy and a book boy. This is a story that harkens back to my past when I got Wendy's barbecue sauce on a Frank Peretti book. And even after something like 30 years, my librarian never forgot or forgave me for it. Perhaps some of you remember the story of Mrs. Aulick and Frank Peretti's Door in the Dragon Throat. And in the year of our Lord 2017, she was still mad at me about it. She did not get over it. We normally only watch Simpsons episodes from the 90s, and of course, today will be no different. I saw today that they're making another Simpsons movie that will be out in 2027. What is the point of that? This is a show that peaked probably in 1999, the first 10 seasons. So it's not even a show of the 21st century. It's a 90s show. They refused to cancel it. It's got to be expensive as fuck to make. They already made one movie, which I didn't think it was great. I didn't think it was bad, but I didn't think it was great. I've only seen it the one time. But now they're going to make another Simpsons movie. Isn't that a movie anyone is asking for right now? The state of the Simpsons is such that we've got to have a movie. Only if it actually ends the show once and for all. But like you listen to it now and like Julie Kavner, bless her heart, first of all, she's got to be like 90, but like her voice is terrible. Listening, she's been doing Marge my entire life, and you could tell that it has destroyed her voice. But Marge sounds about 90. She used to do the voice of Marge's mom, Jacqueline Bouvier, and she did it just kind of a harsher, raspier version. She sounds like that all the time now as Marge. Very difficult to hear. A cop trying to distract a young girl from her dying dad in a car crash. Make sure you don't scroll past without liking. See that orphanage over there? I like how this guy had to have his picture and his screen name censored out because God forbid someone see that he left an acerbic comment. See that orphanage over there? That's where you're going. Please don't take it personally when people who talk to people for a living don't want to talk when they get off work. Please. Or while I'm at work. I'm forced to have conversations. I get it. I like my job, but like when the phone rings, I have to talk to the person. When the radio keys up, I have to talk to that person. It's forced on me. I literally have to speak to people, not when I want to, but when I have to. And so maybe when I'm off work, maybe if I don't feel like talking, don't force the issue. And maybe if I'm not talking, don't take it personally. World's oldest cheese found in an Egyptian tomb, but it may be filled with a deadly disease. That from ABC News. Can't drink sarcophagus juice, can't eat the tomb cheese. What even is the point of archaeology? Here's something to think about. Should we be digging up stuff that has diseases in it for which our human immune systems are not accustomed? Why are we digging up diseases that may wipe out the human race? We're like accidentally going to dig up a petrified rat that has the Black Plague and kill everybody. When are we going to learn from these movies that digging things up is a bad idea? Oh, I'll just steal King Tut's emerald. What's the worst that could happen? I'm not asking you to become Chinese. I'm saying that when the time is right, you will look in the mirror and already be Chinese. I don't even think this is a joke. The numbers 10 to 99 are called the double digits. Make sure you memorize those. You don't want to be the guy at a party who's never heard of 57. Someone's going to bring him that steak sauce, and you're going to be like, Heinz, what? Heinz 57. Heinz what? 57? There's a 57 now? Jeez, they'll just horn him in anywhere. Cheese is just a loaf of milk. She's right, and I'm scared. This implies a liquid form of bread. Beer. Oh, fuck. Somewhere Jenny is fully activated. Whenever I have casually mentioned beer to her, she starts yelling. She's just like, I don't drink my bread. I don't drink my bread. I don't go to the gym to get strong or lose weight. I go to build my lung capacity so I can smoke even more cigarettes. That is one bad thing about smoking is that it reduces your overall lung capacity, and you have to work very hard at the gym to maintain that so that you can smoke and even expand it. So make sure you are stepping up your cardio. Most gyms these days will make an exception for you. You can get a doctor's note to smoke at the gym. So make sure you're just asking your doctor, and you're going to want to keep that with you. I would just go ahead and clip it to your shirt that you have the right to smoke on the treadmill or rowing machine or whatever. I have a general question for Drew if he's still here. Is it illegal to forge a doctor's note if they're just telling me to do something absurd? Like, is it still forgery if I'm just, if I put Dr. Snrub, my patient, Mr. Bates, is authorized to smoke whilst on the treadmill at the gym. Sign Dr. Snrub, PhD, internal medicine. Is that a crime? Or is it a civil issue? The absurdity of the doctor's note is that I could smoke, that I could smoke on the treadmill at the gym. Some sort of medical exemption. I know that there's an aspect of it that is civil, like whether or not they can have me leave. You know, but no, in fact, it's illegal to not do that, Dr. Spaceman. So if you're not doing it now, you're already committing a grievous breach of the peace. So make sure you go out and falsify a doctor's note now. By the way, Drew, one time we had this patrolman who had recently been promoted to detective. And where we are, once you go and become a detective, it's not like New York Police Department where a detective is the same rank as a sergeant. It's just you're a plainclothes policeman officer. And so I was kind of testing him. I said, let me ask you this question. Is it illegal in this county to open fire with a pistol, small arms, onto a weather balloon or a human hot air balloon? Is that? He goes, well, if they die, that's murder, because your shot's approximate cause. Well, what about a weather balloon? There's property damage there. I'm like, is it illegal to pass out cigarettes to children? And he's like, well, you're furnishing a minor with tobacco underage if you hand it to them, but if you just leave it in a bowl on the porch, then it's theft. So the kids are actually just stealing, and it's fine. So that's how I get around that important moral issue on Halloween, is that I fill up a big bowl full of cigarettes, and you know exactly how it is. The teenagers who don't even put on costumes just come up and take all the cigarettes, and you're just like, and then, right after that, a little Asian Iron Man or a little princess or something will come up and like, there's no cigarettes for them. So I guess, I'd like to know what my remedies are under the law for dealing with egregious breaches of the peace where Halloween is concerned. I'm really hoping that some sort of act of roguery or, if there ever was a night for masked vigilantism, I would hope that would be the night. Oh, Spachiman. Sorry, I mispronounced the name of the doctor. Do police officers have to tell people that their advice should not be confused with actual laws like lawyers do? I don't know if that's a real question. It may be, but I guess people call me and they want to know what the law is or what their options are under the law. They actually call me and ask me questions like that all the time. Yeah, my brother, he lives with me, but he's not on the lease, and I want him out of the house tomorrow. Okay, is that his legal residence? Well, he's not on the lease. Well, is that his legal residence? What do you mean? Well, has he received his mail there for the last 30 days? Yes. Okay, so it's his legal residence. No, he's not on the lease. Well, first of all, if you don't believe me, hang up the phone, call a lawyer. Number two, why are you calling me for advice? You clearly need a lawyer. You're just trying to circumvent the fact that you don't want to pay for legal advice. You're going to call the sheriff's office and you're not even going to get a cop. You're going to get little me. And so the thing is perhaps if you've listened to this podcast, you'll know that I know a thing or two about the law in general. I'm not a lawyer. I don't even claim anything close to that status. I would never make that claim. I do happen to know how certain things work, like just as a general process. I know which complaint they have as a civil issue. I know how to address that complaint. Go to the clerk of court's office, file for this. And I try to be helpful, but you know what? The people do not want help. They just want to talk to a cop anymore. And so I've tried to be helpful and say, like, these are your options. They don't care what I say because I'm just a dumb little 911 dispatcher. So anymore, I just have the cops call them and have the cops explain it to them because they just want to talk to my manager anyway. And apparently the cops are my manager. So even though it's a total waste of the cops' time, I punt the football of responsibility out of my hands. Don't give anyone legal advice. Have the cop tell them to go get a lawyer. And that way nothing can really come back on me. And it just sucks because it's like if I acted in good faith and like in a way that was helpful to my community, I would explain to them, this isn't a criminal issue. Or like if you want these records, you need to subpoena someone, this agency, or talk to the state's attorney's office. But anymore, it's just like you almost can't be a good guy and help people. So you tell the cop to call him, and the cop calls him. And the cop says, no part of this is a criminal issue, and me doing a report. And sometimes people have like a civil issue and they, like something with child custody, and they want the police to document it so that they can then subpoena that record. Why is a cop's report saying that he heard what you said better than your own report? Do you realize that as a private citizen, you can make your own report? Sit down in Microsoft Word, type up a narrative of what happened, print it out, sign it and date it. You can even do this in the presence of a notary if you want, I guess. I don't know. But then like attach any relevant evidence, pictures of damage to your vehicle or whatever. That's your report. You could do your own report. What does it matter if Drew does it? Well, I just think you all should be made aware. People use that phrase with me a lot too. Well, you people should be made aware. And I've been pretty direct with them. Like, well, I'm a 911 dispatcher and telling me doesn't do anything. What am I going to be good for? If we go to court and I'm subpoenaed, to be like, yeah, Steve Jacobson called me and he told me he wanted me to know about it. Well, what did you do about it? Nothing. There was nothing for me to do. So you were aware of it. Yes. Can I go now? Well, we just thought you should know. You should document this. It's a civil issue. We have got to start teaching kids in school, right? We teach them precious little as it is, but a little bit about the law, but teach them the difference between criminal law and civil law. It's a huge overarching concept that there's just two different kinds of law, civil law and criminal law. And if you teach them that and give them one chapter test and one quiz, a breach of contract on the sale of a car, criminal or civil? Your neighbors being noisy in your apartment complex, is that criminal or is that civil? Well, that one's a tricky one. Could depend on where you live. And then other places, speeding, is that a criminal issue or a civil issue? Well, some municipalities skirt the fact that, it's too much of a pain in the ass for them to enforce the law, so they make it a civil issue if you speed. Pretty sure speeding is a crime, but they get around that by calling it a civil issue. I think that's probably that way in Tampa, so watch Drew defend that. Anyway, John, if you're ever called out for giving bad advice, just claimed it was opposite day and they misunderstood the rules. Yes. It was opposite day. Drew, there's a city nearby me where the interstate goes through that town. They have since remedied this issue. But if you were speeding through this town on the interstate, a camera would take a picture of your license plate, and you were what happened is that they did not issue you a traffic citation because they could not prove it was you driving the vehicle. So, and you can't confront your accuser that because the traffic citation strictly came from a picture taken by a camera, right? So, are you literally going to have the expert on the camera spend 100% of his life in court with people contesting these tickets? You, of course, cannot do that. That's unreasonable. So they didn't issue you a traffic citation for speeding. The city would sue you. They're like, "Oh, we caught you speeding, so we're going to sue you for speeding." What? And now the the standard for proving it is so much lower because it's preponderance of evidence. They don't have to prove it was you in the vehicle. They just have to say it was likely it was you. So unless you get on the stand and name someone else as driving that day, you're the one that's going to have to pay that civil judgment for being sued for speeding. It was such a crack of shit. How can you go around criminal enforcement of the speeding limit by suing people for speeding? It was such an utter crack of shit. I could not believe it. Because that's what people would say. Well, that's not me driving the truck. Yeah, that's my vehicle, but I'm not in there. So they just sued them. God, it was so fucking horrible. And I came very close to responding to this by going up there with my vehicle and posting a sign in the back and driving 55 well below the speed limit through the town back and forth on the interstate, saying, just with a sign that says, "This is because of you." And I would drive back, and I would want it to just drive back and forth on this 4-mile stretch of interstate that goes through this city, just impeding traffic, going around, making everyone go around me as I'm doing 55. The speed limit, I think, was 65. The speed limit should normally be 85, but it's slowed down to 65 for the city. But I'll just drive around 55, which is, the minimum's 40. So I'm fine. I'm not impeding traffic by my speed. But I would just put up a sign for every single fucking person in that city so that they see, like, you don't like being slowed down by traffic. I don't like being sued by the city. You need to fucking deal with this. And if I didn't have a life, if I didn't have a job, that's exactly how I would have dealt with it. I would have just made it my mission to I would have created a little website like, City of Sioux City is doing this to you and fighting against or whatever, and just letting them know that was the problem. Luckily, I never drive through there, but they were doing that. If you could believe that. Sue my car, bitch. Car's named Sue. No, the city was named Sue. It was a town in Iowa that I drove through once. So I wonder what Felony Melanie would say about that, but I haven't been there in many years, possibly part of that reason. Ironically, the name of the city is Sioux City, and they were suing people. I just realized that after probably 20 years, the name of the city is Sioux City, and they literally sued people. Irony abounds. All right, let's get done so that I can go back to doing nothing. Put my Sioux City. She's been there. So that I can go to bed. But Romeo Dobbs, his oversized helmet. Do you guys see that? This is just the utter pussification of football. I cannot believe how ridiculous it's getting. And you could say, well, John, safety first. It's so important. CTE, destroy these guys' lives. No one makes them do this. It's not more dangerous than riding a motorcycle. They're getting paid millions of dollars to do it. They're assuming a very limited amount of risk. And all life is inherent risk. These guys that are wearing these balloon helmets, they get out in a car crash on the way to the stadium. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. Not only that, but it's just like, play for a few years and get out then if you're really afraid of it. But like, seriously? This is what you look like? What do you think Vince Lombardi would say about that? We've gone too far. And the main reason why I could get so mad about the whole safety issues because it's pretend. Nobody really cares. If it was really about safety, we would not play football anymore. We'd be like, my God, this is barbaric. We're destroying men's minds. Shut the whole thing down. But it's ridiculous because, and I was watching this during the Cowboys-Packers game where like the refs call time on the game clock and there's a player who's kind of shaken up and they get him off the field. And that fucking dumbass Chris Collinsworth, who's is like having a power drill inserted into your eye, into your brain, listening to him with his asinine chatter that has to be worse than being trapped in an elevator with somebody. But he's just like, yeah, these referees, they care more about the game, making sure that, you know, if someone looks a little shaken up, that they're taking care of them. You know, the league really cares about safety. A few years ago, the concern was that the games were too long and they were trying to find ways to speed up the game. And so we were getting rid of things like that because all we cared about was like having the best TV product, making sure that it didn't go too long, that you didn't have games. You didn't want the game that starts at 1 p.m. going too long and overlapping with the game that starts in the second window or whatever. You got to make sure it ends on time. And so the concern used to be just making sure that the game was fast. And now it's like they're slowing the game down. They want to make sure it's safe. Well, it's because when they made the game faster, they also like cut out a lot of the stuff that made it fun. You know, trying to change everything on kickoffs and all this. They made kickoffs like more dangerous or whatever. I don't know. I don't believe the NFL cares about safety. And yet, you know, we wind up here. So I wasn't built for this, waking up in the morning. It's just not for me. Walking in the park on a date, the park. The date says, impress me, Jonathan. I can talk to animals. Oh, prove it. To the duck. Hello, you fucking duck. I would actually never swear at a duck. Favorite animal. The masters of all domains. They can fly, they can walk, and they can swim. They can even swim underwater. Not only that, but they taste pretty good too. On my to-do list, do not trust the process. Kill one bird with 2 stones. Think only inside the box. Give up. Do not mind my own business. Do not take action. Procrastinate and ultimately quit. This is what's on my to-do list, people. What's on yours? It's important to make a list, to set goals for yourself so you know where you are and where you're headed and how soon you will not get there. Imposter syndrome sounds so much gnarlier than what it's actually describing. They took not believing in yourself and gave it the title of a 70s political thriller, The Imposter Syndrome. Yeah, it's like a China syndrome or Manchurian candidate. And made it to describe like self disconfidence. I miss my ducks. I miss you, Butter Queen. Thank you for dropping in tonight. It's always fun to see you in the chats. I know that you're only required to watch once per year, so I appreciate that you spent a September 29th, 2025 with us. We will see you at least by the end of September next year. Damn Coke spilling on the controls. What are you controlling? Very concerned about you. You know, my footy players don't wear helmets. Our footy players. I don't know if I meant to understand that. I assume it's some sort of sportman that you're talking about. If they don't wear helmets down in Australia, they're probably playing some game that's so pussified that they don't even need helmets, though. You know, some non-contact sport. And some football players get free pantyhose. Boy, you know, you just will not get over Joe Namath. He's like the least qualified member of the Hall of Fame. He won 1 Super Bowl. He got a little bit of free pantyhose. He's out there hawking aluminum siding now. He got what was coming to him. Dum dum. I wish I knew what that was in reference to. Green Bay is gay. It's a pretty nice town, actually. All right. That's the end of this. I just wanted to leave you guys with a little something in case I don't make it. I leave early in the morning. I will fly out to the Commonwealth of Virginia. I'll spend some time with some old friends there. I'm going to be hiking in a tunnel through a mountain, which is almost a mile long. So there will be no cell phone reception in there, and it will be dark, and it could collapse at any time. It's over 100 years old. I'm afraid of caves, but I'll be going into that thing for some reason and might die. But the good thing is that it's part of a pretty well-maintained hiking trail, so it's very likely that my remains will be recovered. If anyone does reach out to any of you to know what to do with me, just I want my ashes sprinkled at Chick-fil-A. That would be fine. I don't really have any other, needs or anything. I like things to reference things from the 1970s. That's all Tallier needs to be happy. Remember the 70s, guys? Yeah. Rugby is only good for one thing, the short shorts. Spelunking, John. The cave will be full of bees, probably. Can't wait for that. You won't die. Don't be a wussy. Well, what if I want to die? Doesn't that mean I'm not, though? Like, I'm not afraid to die. I'm more afraid to live than die. You guys don't need me anymore. All we need, Drew, is if you could just turn this on Mondays and just let everyone chat, and then they can just look at my background or whatever. That's all we need. We'll be totally done. Well, the time where I am is 9:11, so that's a good time to quit. Thank you to everyone who was in the chats. I will be back here next Monday. Watch Comm Center on Thursday night. I don't know what Drew's plans are, but maybe there are plans. Maybe there aren't plans. I'm not positive, but make sure you're watching the Comm Center. And I will be back here next week. Thanks for letting me take a vacation. I appreciate everybody who watches the show, and I'll catch up with you next time. Travel safely.